I gotta do? I gotta turn the sound off. Turn that brightness down. Here. Give myself a thumbs up, because why not? And there we go. Ow. I think we wore the kittens out. They all seem to be asleep somewhere. Yeah, this isn't normal. Usually they're climbing all over right now. Arwen, Gimli? This is odd. This is really odd. I have no kittens. I hear no bells. And it's 11 o'clock at night when they're usually, having the zoomies. I guess because they got fed late. Maybe maybe they just have full tummies and are sound asleep. We'll see how that pans out, because they're not getting locked in their room tonight. They're gonna be allowed to sleep in the house. We don't have a choice, because I'm gonna be gone a week, and there's just no way my brother will be able to catch them all. So, um, so they're usually out and about. But tomorrow, we're gonna be out of the house. We've got to be out the door by 10 in the morning, because there's just so many places we've got to stop. And one of them, the first one, is an hour's drive away. So we're going to start there and work our way backwards. So when we come back, we're going to have a bunch of stuff to unload out of the car. And it'll be easier if we make sure the cats are fed before we leave. It'll be easier to get them back into the playroom. We'll put their food in there, and then we'll leave. And then once we have the car unloaded when we get back, which, fingers crossed, will be no later than 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That's the plan anyway. Then we'll get the car unloaded, the stuff in here, and some stuff that has to get loaded in the car, because Boy Scout summer camp is Sunday. We leave Sunday. Yay! I can't wait. I cannot wait. Absolutely cannot wait. It's my stress relief for the year. So I know it looks like nothing has changed behind me. Well, of what's directly behind me, no, because I haven't used that, and I actually haven't used this orange packing stuff. But part of the other thing too is getting everything squared away, because there's last minute changes to merit badges, and people have backed out, and the logistics of getting all the kids there, because we're not renting a bus this year, and it's been fun. We'll get there. We will get there eventually. Let's see if I can move the chair forward a little bit. Where'd my foot box go? I don't have a footstool. I need one of those old fashioned, hand embroidered on the top, only about yay high footstools, because sitting in this chair, my feet don't quite touch the ground flat. Toes touch the ground. It's because I'm so short in the leg. What height I have is all torso. And so I have my box from my little, what's this thing called? The Rolo printer. Brain does not want to work. And I use that as a footstool right now to put my feet up on. So hello, Val. How are you? How are you? I know quite a few people are at Jody's live. That's okay. We changed things up and had a little bit of a sale last week. Oh, that's the side that's cockeyed. And I know they were still talking with Sue Spezio, and That little lock of hair is going to annoy me. My hair is finally like long enough that I can finally put it up, but I don't have that many barrettes. I don't. I, I don't know what I did with them. I don't know. I know quite a few over the years had broken, and it's not easy to find barrettes that are like. I mean, I like some fun ones, and I do have one that has Alice in Wonderland on it. Hi, Midge. Um, but I haven't been to like a Claire's Boutique or Hot Topics to find cool looking barrettes for hair in a long time. A lot of times now you find, and it's almost like stuff that was in the 20s, where it's a bobby pin kind of thing with a little thing on the end. And that's not what I'm talking about. A serious, hardcore barrette that you can snap that sucker in and hold your hair. And because today, look how long it's finally getting again, which is good because then we're in the hottest part of the summer now. The last 2 weeks of July are what the last 2 weeks of August used to be when I was growing up. Hot and humid and miserable. The only thing I'm worried about with being gone for a week is if it rains. Because I don't really have a lot of confidence in my brother making sure that that bucket gets emptied in a timely manner if we get a torrential downpour and anything that's underneath all that plastic. If the kittens, which they've done today, they played on it at some point while we were out, decided to jump all over it. And so it's not set up to drain into the big trash, into the office trash can that's up there. So I expect to come back to a mess if it rains. Put this back up because I can't turn the fan on. It makes too much noise. So I can't have the little fan on while we're doing a live. And I hear a bell. Kitty, kitty. Which one's here? You're not going to come see me? If you're sleeping at that end of the living room, then it's one of the gray ones. It's either Aragorn or it's Arwen. Because they've taken to sleeping in the window, on the windowsill and the radiator. It's right by the window at the other end. Oh, I hear somebody else. Hi. Of course, you have to go the mountain route. Come on, Gimli. Come say hello. Come here. Come on. Come on. Down here. Come on, you know the drill. Down to this box. That's why that box is there. Come on. Come say hello. Come on. You're not going to come say hello? Come on. Oh, you're purring already. Oh, big yawn. You must have just woken up. Yeah, it's just odd to be, 11 o'clock at night and they're asleep. What's wrong with this picture? Oh my goodness. But we had 94-degree weather yesterday, and it was better than today because there wasn't any humidity yesterday. And today, then the wind blew in. The wind blew in the evening, late, about 10 o'clock at night. And the humidity just ratcheted right on up. What? Yeah, I know. You hear my foot hitting that bag that's there. Come here. Come on. Oh, don't do that. Don't hit the glass. Come here. Okay, fine. Picky. So apparently, he and the doctor had a meeting earlier tonight because the doctor pushed her way into Mike's room. And then, of course, since the door now was open, he went in looking for Mike. And Mike was a little concerned because he had the doctor on this side up by his head because Mike had worked third shift last night and hadn't been to sleep all day. And so he was finally going to sleep at 8 o'clock tonight. And come on. And so he woke up because he had the doctor up here growling, and then this one was at his hip on the other side, just staring at the doctor. And so he had to like calm the doctor down and just keep telling her it was okay, and that it's all right. We've had a lot of meetings like that this week. We've had some kind of a meeting every day this week of the doctor. Either she's come into the kitchen and then hopped up on the wooden chair and just watched them, or she's been on the staircase. Instead of being at the top, she now comes down to the middle of the staircase. And then if any of them get too close, she just growls. Or if they get too close, she hisses. But they're so far it's downgraded to these funny little growls she makes, which is good. The only one that sasses her back is Aragorn, who hisses back, and he's going to get a smackdown at some point from her because she's not taking that real well to be hissed at. Uh-oh, here we go. Look, kitten camera. Oh. So the thumbnail that I quick put on, yeah, unfortunately I can't adjust that light. The light I normally use is a 19 early, maybe late 1940s floor lamp, and the kittens, two of them got too rough. They tipped it over, and now if I try to turn it on, the bulbs all flicker. So they've done something that's loosened the wiring. They've also loosened the base a little bit because the base actually has a light in the base, which I've never seen work, but I don't know how to rewire, so I just unplugged that. So I only have the old desk lamp, which is kind of pointed at the ceiling, but so it makes me white out. But then you guys are used to that because I'm so pale skinned, I always white out. But anyway, the thumbnail I used that I put on this, I put a picture of Frodo. Because remember when this first started, Frodo was the first one, and he was so undersized. And I had him overnight. I had him for more than 12 hours, probably about maybe 14 hours, 16 hours before any other kittens showed up. And he had to be bottle fed. Even when their mother had these guys, I still ended up bottle feeding Frodo because he was just so much tinier. Now this one's Gimli, who has bonded so much with Mike. So Gimli here will be staying. Elrond, the one that looks like a Siamese, that wonderful cream colored one with the gray ear tips and paw tips and tail, he's staying because he's bonded with me. I'm still waiting to hear from the neighbor about which one of the three his daughters are going to take. Because they got first pick. And after that, then I'm shooting out emails to try to get rid of the next one. And that'll just leave me with one. But yeah, they are getting bigger. They are definitely getting bigger. They're about, I think, maybe somewhere between 12 and 14 weeks now. But he's the biggest one. Gimli has taken over. You're a big fluffy boy. Show him how big you are. Look at you. Yeah, I got you. Look at you. Look at how big you are. Look at you're the biggest one. Yeah, you used to be. Elrond was the big one, but Elrond is really kind of lean and long. But this one's all muscle. Yes, you. Yes, you. So I thought tonight, since I've been informed and we figured out today the route of what we have to do, there's stuff we have to buy for troop gear, which means going up to REI, which is over an hour away. We also have to stop at our council scout shop, which is not nearby. That's also a distance away. and we can hit that, I think, on the way back from REI, because that's in King of Prussia is the Scout Shop, and then we'll just work our way backwards from there. But when we figured it all out, he's like, well, we have to be on the road no later than 10 o'clock in the morning. Preferably he wants to be out the door by 9:30. And I still also need to go next door and water the vegetable garden in the neighbor's yard that we're sharing. I've already, with this heat, lost half my carrots because the seedlings just weren't strong enough. And that dirt, it's a brand new garden, and he's bought bags of dirt. And a lot of times those are half sand. So they don't withhold any moisture worth a damn. So I've made sure I get out there every evening and I water it, but I didn't make it today. And the tomatoes are already showing they're getting signs of heat stress. The pepper plants are showing signs of heat stress because all their leaves start turning yellow. Now there is a blight for tomatoes that also does that, but it doesn't do it the same way. Tomato blight, they'll get yellow, but they'll also start having like black spots on them. And this isn't that. It's literally just heat stress of the plants. So we have to get through tomorrow, and then there's a chance in the next 3 days of it hitting 100 here. But you just deal with it. Do what you can. Make sure you drink plenty of water because that helps. I've been taking mint from the garden next door and throwing it into our iced tea because that always seems to perk you up and make you feel better. I think there's something about mint tea or even mint in the water that just seems to have a cooling effect. It just the taste alone. I don't know if it's in my head, if it's psychosomatic kind of thing. I just find it enjoyable, and it just seems to make it feel like it's that much cooler. So you're gonna lick your chest, huh? Okay. Since you're behaving, you can stay. We're gonna talk about some interesting pets tonight. I've alluded to this one several times, and that's always because it's kind of a longer story. It really deserved time of a story on its own. So I decided to let you guys know about Lurch. Now, I don't believe I have any photographs of Lurch. But back in the 70s, there were a lot of things that were legal to sell in the pet stores that never really should have been. We've all heard those jokes about, city sewers. Hi, proud American, having alligators in the sewers, especially in New York. Well, that came because there's a thing called a caiman, which is a cousin to an alligator, as near as I could tell. But it looks just like a baby alligator. The difference, I think, is that they only grow 6 to 8 feet long in maturity, and alligators can grow. Alligators can get massive. So, being that this was the neighborhood house where animals were, allowed, and everybody's kids always seemed to hang out, everybody's friends always hung out here. My brother Roy, who's the next one up from me, he's 4 years older than I am. He's actually Mike's dad, my nephew that I raised. That's actually his dad. And what? What do you want? Oh, you want to go down? Okay. Go ahead. Where are you going? You want to go down or you want to go up? You're nope, no desk. How about you go up? Lay on my sweater. Not allowed on the desk. You know that. Especially not under there. There's breakable things under there. But he came home with this thing in a shoebox because some friend of his, their mother said, no way in hell was this staying in her house. So Roy brings it home. Now, at that point, this thing's little. what, 6 to 8 inches long, little tiny thing in a shoebox. Mom figures, that sucker will die pretty quick. It's just some little lizard. Well, it didn't die pretty quick. Not by any means. He had that thing for, I think 4 years before Lurch died. He was named for Lurch of the Addams Family TV show, that old black and white TV show. I always loved their house. They had the coolest things in their house. But it was named for Lurch. And Lurch lived in progressively larger fish tanks with some water and rocks where he could get up out of the water. And while Roy could handle Lurch did occasionally nip him. Nobody else could get anywhere near this thing. Could not touch it, could nothing. No. So as it got bigger, had to get bigger tanks. But sometimes it would swish its tail in the water when it was agitated. And it would do this sometimes at night. Because, you go down into the bayous and stuff, those gators ain't out just in the daytime. Some like to be swimming around at night. And my brother would bang against the side of the tank, holler at it to shut up. One day he had this big ring on. And I don't know where he got the ring, but it was like, like a guy's school ring, or I think it might have been a ring from our grandfather, but it was a sizable big ring. And he not thinking, and he bangs the tank and the glass broke. Well, then you hear all this hollering and freaking out. And so Mom goes up there, and then she's telling hollers, I need more towels. So I'm awake at this point. It's early. The sun hasn't even come up, but it's close. So now what? Now you have this thing, which at this point is now 20 inches long. 20 inches long. That's, let's see. Half, I used to do fabric. There's 36, 15. So, yeah, about that. Wider than my shoulders. And it's not happy, and it's agitated, and it's like, now what do we do with it? Meanwhile, Roy is trying to hold the big painted piece of glass up that had broken to keep it in there because he didn't want it getting loose in the house. Roy's room's also on the 3rd floor. And so, the sun comes up, Mom starts calling around going, well, what the hell are we going to do with it? So the first thing they did was they called the Philadelphia Zoo. They finally got somebody back from the zoo, and they said, well, we have enough gators and caimans. We can't take it. We just don't have any room for it because we get so many of these things because people have them as pets, and then they get too big and they can't handle them and they don't know what to do with them. And so we don't have room. We can't take anymore. So then, she convinces Roy that, well, we need to call the ASPCA. Maybe they can take him. And he's freaking out going, no, they'll kill him. They'll kill him. Well, no, they won't. Do you know that, they would, back in the 70s, they would gas animals to euthanize them. That doesn't work on big lizards. It puts them into hibernation. They just go to sleep and hibernate. It doesn't kill them. So they said, we can't do anything about it. And my mom, in desperation, said, can you at least help move it? And they went, well, yeah, but to where? She says, down one flight of stairs to a bathtub? And they said, laughingly went, I'll come do that. Now this is the supervisor. I'll come do that myself just to see this. 2 guys show up. And they have a hard time getting him hooked because they want to get one on the tail and one around the neck. So with these poles that have the loop on it, like I'm sure you've all seen documentaries where they go to catch an animal or something and they have this pole and they pull the loop around their neck but the problem is if you get them just around the neck and you try to carry them that way, you could strangle them. So they got to get one on the tail too. Mind you, this is a 3rd floor bedroom on this house, meaning the walls are like this. So and the walls are like this, but the tank is here at one of the curves. So they're trying to get in, but the back of the poles are too long and they're banging the ceiling on the other side. They finally get a hold of Lurch and they get him downstairs to the bathtub. Roy, knowing they were coming, he set it up so that there were some rocks in the bathtub, and he got some screens from the basement, old window screens, because this house used to have the kind that you would swap out in the winter and in the fall, and you'd have to climb on a ladder and put the whole screen up. Well, there were a few in the basement. He put them on top of the bathtub, and he figured that'd be good. And so he also filled it partway with water and did whatever he did to treat the water like you would for a fish tank. Yes. And so they get it down. They get Lurch into the bathtub. Well, then Lurch discovered that if he got on top of the rocks, he could push with his snout, and he's starting to move the screens up and down, trying to get out of the bathtub. So that quickly became an issue. So then they got more rocks and put them on top. Now, luckily, before any of you go, what the hell? This house has 2 bathrooms, but only one has a shower. It has 2 bathtubs. It has a powder room down here in the room where the kittens have been. So that's your basic toilet and a sink. And then upstairs, there's a bathtub at each bathroom at either end of the house, and a sink and a toilet. But the one at the front of the house, being the one from 1911, while it was remodeled in the 30s, they never gave it a shower. It's just a tub. There's no hookup or anything for a shower in there. So most of it, with 6 kids in the house and all that, we all grew up using the shower mostly, unless you were going to take a bath. So, by then there weren't 6 kids living in the house. By then it was just Gary and Roy and I, and the others had already moved out and on and were married. And so Lurch ended up in the front bathroom in the bathtub with rocks holding it down. Now, Roy would go in there and sit there and talk to it, and he would take pieces of steak, raw steak. Mom used to joke that thing ate better than we did. And he'd put it on the end of a coat hanger that he'd undone, and he'd carefully put it in there, and Lurch would eat it off the hanger. Or he'd get live goldfish and dump them in, and he'd go after them in the water. But that's not a great place to live. It's important. Animals need to have room to grow. And he stayed in that tub for 3 years. And he finally got so big that he just didn't have any more room. And the sad part is he would whimper. He would make this kind of crying noise. And there's no vet at the time you could take him to. You couldn't handle him well enough to take him anywhere. And he eventually did die. Roy went in one morning and he had passed away. And Mom had called the Philadelphia Zoo to find out what they could do. And they are the ones that explained that there's probably nothing you can do if he's to the point where he's crying like that, is because they will kind of waste themselves away. They'll stop eating if their enclosures are too small, then they do start having problems. So it was sad, But Roy always wanted to get him stuff. Now, you guys thought this was bizarre enough, right? You really thought this was that's as bizarre as it was going to be, that we had an alligator basically in the house in a bathtub? Oh, no, no. Roy always wanted to get it stuffed. Yeah. So when Lurch died, Roy called the taxidermist and said how much to get it stuffed. And when they told him, Roy went, "Oh, I don't have that kind of money. So what can I do until I can get that kind of money?" And they said, "Freeze it." You heard me. Freeze it. Wrap it up real good in plastic bags, like outdoor trash bags, and freeze it. Yeah. My mother was not wrapped real tight sometimes. So so it got wrapped in, I think, 4 trash bags. Mom went down to the basement. She cleared a shelf. Lurch had his own shelf. She wasn't putting food anywhere near that thing. I mean, it wouldn't have mattered with everything all wrapped up, but she just wasn't. So he had a shelf all his own in the freezer for a couple of years. I lost track of how many. But it got to be an interesting discussion point because there were times when he was brought out of the freezer and unwrapped enough to see him. Now, when he died, he was, when he went into the bathtub, he was 20 inches long. When he came out of the bathtub, he was 48 inches long. Luckily, the way he passed away, he died and the tail had curled this way so that he was kind of more compact. Oh, there is a kitty back there. Arwen's over there. Yes, Gimli. Uh, so that was luckily that it curled around. But yeah, it's a serious conversation piece. And they would bring it out. I know I did it. I mean, I had to admit, I took friends of mine to the basement and I'd unwrap just the head and go, "See, I told you, I'm not lying. It's a gator." So, but the best one had to be when our cousin who lit hey, get off that. Get off that. You're not allowed to touch that. That's getting packed tonight. What are you doing? You're not supposed to be on the desk. You know this. No. You pick now to interrupt when it's just getting good? You're not touching that doll. That doll is only down here because I'm packing it tonight. Yes, you. Go lay down over there. So, my dad's sister are from upstate Pennsylvania. Around Catawissa, Ellisburg, Wilkes-Barre, Bloomsburg area. So, when Deb was in the Army, she met and married a gentleman who, he happened to be black. Fine. Didn't bother us any. Sure gave some of those old folks upstate a turn, but Chris didn't believe her about the gator, about Lurch. So she brought him down here on their way to the Philadelphia airport to go back to whatever Army base they were living at because they'd been home upstate for a visit. So we went and got Lurch. And they unwrapped Lurch, sat him on the end of the kitchen table. Now, poor Chris, he's looking at it like, okay, but he's still in his chair. But then it moved. It's a hot summer day. He's thawing out. He's sweating. Lurch is sweating because he's thawing out. It's hot. It's humid. Like a cold glass with iced tea and ice cubes in it. You get that sweat dripping down the glass. Lurch started to slide on the table and it slid toward Chris. That poor young man, he leaped up so fast, up and over the back of the chair. He knocked the kitchen chair to the floor, and he was halfway up on the cabinet, ready, I think, to climb the hutch up to the top shelf because that thing moved. That poor man. That poor man. So we quick put it away after that. But he certainly had the biggest reaction to Lurch, to the deceased Lurch, of anybody. And he was, he was like, kind of like, y'all are crazy when he saw we had it. But then when it shifted and moved, it's dead. It's not going to hurt you none. But that just shook him up. That just shook him up badly. He never set foot in our house again, poor guy. So that was the most fun one of having Lurch be seen by anybody. But quite a few years went by, and Roy would get the money together, and then other things would happen, and so some people in life just have a harder time than others keeping their act together, and I have my own problems in that regard, but he had more, and he struggled with that, but through it all, he's always loved his son and made sure his kid knew that, and that right there is all I ask, is that he lets Michael know he's loved, and that's all I care about. And then Joanne, his wife, that's Mike's mom. That was the same thing. They both adored Mike. They just couldn't get out of their own way for something. Hello, Elron. But he finally had checked Lurch once and saw that the skin was turning all white. He was getting freezer burn from having been in there for so many years. So he finally had his best friend came over, and Roy didn't really want anybody else around. We were really too. We were willing to have an actual funeral for this thing in the backyard. He said no, he didn't want me or Mom. He didn't want anybody around, but he did have Tim with him. And they buried Lurch in the backyard with all the other critters. Morgan's out towards that part of the yard now too. And so Lurch is out there. But as you guys have heard me say one time, I will never read Stephen King's Pet Sematary. Yeah, Lurch is one of the reasons why. My parents have had the house since 1962. I don't even have a number of how many animals of loved family pets are buried out there. But yeah, Lurch is one of them. Lurch is one of the more interesting ones. So, and you guys have a cat in your face again. Come on. Tell you what, why don't you go that way and go find somewhere else to be? You guys have this tower, which you don't use anymore. I don't know why. You have a tower right there. Honestly. Elron, what are you doing? Hey, get down from up there. Come on, get down. That's a boy. Come on. Oh, you're going to go the other way. I thought he was going to, he started to fall. I thought he was going to fall and hit the laptop, which they've done once already, and flipped it over the back of the desk. This is my lifeline. I don't need that done. So that was the story of Lurch. That was the story of Lurch. And unfortunately, I I don't think I have. Roy might have photos of him. I'm sure Roy has photos of him. It was his pet. But I didn't think I have any. And with the current state of the house, I wouldn't know where it would be anyway. But I know I didn't have one. So, but Lurch was probably the most unique one. I mean, yes, we had Tahi. We had a squirrel monkey when I was really little, and I've talked about Tahi before. When Steve came home from Vietnam, my parents would have let him have an elephant in the backyard if he'd wanted one. He said it could he have any pet he wanted if as long as he paid for it with his own money. What are you doing? You now have your butt in your sister's face. Why? Um, so we had Tahi when I was real little, and Tahi was buried out there, but Lurch was definitely. I mean, Tahi at least you could let out of the cage now and then and everything, but you weren't letting Lurch out to just run around the house. No. Definitely one of the most unique pets we had was Lurch. May he rest in peace, because he's forever going to be part of the family lore. He will not be forgotten for a couple of generations. I have had to repeat the story of Lurch to every in-law that has come in to the house, even with my sister's two kids. I've had to explain to their intendeds about Lurch, and my other nieces, of course, know about Lurch. Sarah was probably old enough that she probably remembers Lurch. She was the first niece, so yeah. she was I was 10 when she was born on September 8th, and then in October 27th I turned 11. So yeah, she would have been old enough when Lurch was in this house. She would have been old enough to remember there being Lurch at grandma's in the bathtub. So yeah, that was definitely the most unique pet. I don't remember when they had the chameleons. Do you remember when they used to have fiberglass curtains? They'd have this material and turned out it was fiberglass in the 50s, and that would be your curtain material. And when I was young, I do remember that we had these dark green curtains in this living room. And I've seen photographs where, of course, they're in the background. And one of my brothers had chameleons, two of them. And they'd get out occasionally of their little enclosure. And mom learned very quickly that if you just followed the cat, now at that point it was supposedly a gray tabby named Kittle. I do not remember Kittle at all. I was told that Kittle used to sleep at my feet in the playpen. I don't know. But Kittle would find the chameleons, but wouldn't hurt them. But they'd be on the curtain, and because they matched the color of the drapes, nobody could spot them. But the cat could see them, and you'd see the cat just sitting there looking up with the tail, doing that little back and forth twitchy thing. So Kittle always managed to find them for mom. I do remember there being a snake, a racer snake. Racer snakes are black. They're not common in this area anymore. I've seen one over in Rose Valley going up the creek, that's next to the building. The only other one I've seen was one that for a brief while, my brother had one. Same brother. Something had happened and they found this snake by the side of the road. And I think something like the tip of the tail was flattened, and I guess he brought it home to nurse it back to health. But it got out. And one morning, mom and dad are getting ready to go to church. And I'm supposed to go to church with them. And mom's already downstairs in the kitchen. Dad goes to go downstairs. And all of a sudden, I hear our dad going, Jesus. Christ, where the couple of expletives in the middle there going, who the hell does this belong to? You better come get this thing before your mother sees it. Mom knew about all the pets. So it had gotten out, and as you go down the main staircase, of course, the railing is there for the upstairs hallway as it goes towards the front of the house. Well, the snake had started to come through the railing, and so was sticking out about this far, and it happened to be eye level to my father as he's coming down the steps. So he just grabbed it right behind the back of the head and started shouting, who did this damn thing belong to? And Mom's just in the kitchen. As soon as she figured out what was happening, she just stayed in the kitchen and just started laughing because she's like, does he think I do not know what animals are in this house? She did tell me at one time she realized that there were 6 kids in this house, 2 adults, 6 kids, and 14 pets, and fish tanks only counted as 1. So, because at that point, somebody had piranha, somebody else had something else. So there were at least 2 fish tanks in the house, full of fish. And so she always just counted each fish tank as 1 pet, even though you're not going to count all the individual fish. But yeah, that's what she said. That's too many. Not of kids, but that was too many pets. Hello, Linda. Uh-oh. Doctor? I better go check. I hear growling. And Gimli's here, and Arwen's there, and they're both looking that way. I'll be right back. Because if it's not Gimli she's growling at, who is she growling at? Hi, Doctor. Hey, sweetie. How's my girl? Hi. What's the matter? Who's being a numbnut? You come with me. Go ahead, Doctor. You go get something to eat. I should have known. Say hello, Elrond. Yes. Yes. I have a toy that still has a single feather. Well, wait, 2 feathers attached to it. Hello, Book Bewitched. So this is why there was growling, because this one was on the bottom of the stairs and the doctor was on the steps and wanted it. She wanted to come down and get something to eat. Yeah, you gonna play with that? Get it. Ah. Between their sharp teeth and their still sharp claws, anything with a feather on it. Well, she's made it as far as the kitchen door. Usually ends up defeathered within 7 days. They just got this one yesterday. It only has 3 feathers left. Yeah. Yeah. If I hang on to you for a little bit to let the doctor go eat, because then there's just Aragorn out there, because everybody else is in here with me. Yeah. Well, wait, where's Frodo? Doctor! See, you're stupid, though. You try to get up too close to her. One of these times, you're going to get smacked down, too. So, what? What? Oh, you. Look at how long you are. Like a weasel. Look at that body. Yes. You're the one that the vet says you have to have had a Siamese daddy. Look at that face. The vet is 100% sure that this one had a Siamese daddy. And I asked, oh, don't do it. Don't do it. You're going to do it. All right. She outweighs you guys, all 5 of you together. Because doctor's gotten chunky. Okay. Fingers crossed. I mean, the doctor's been amazingly good. She's come to see these kittens every day this week so far, and that's great. I mean, because and there's not been any smackdown fights like there were with her with Morgan, and so far that seems to be okay. Maybe the problem really is the fact that Morgan, when they first met, was an intact female. Doctor wasn't allowed anywhere near Arwen until they were fixed. So she seems to be okay, but Arwen keeps her distance. She won't go anywhere near the doctor. She's that gray one back there that you could barely see. You can see the collar reflecting the light. So I don't hear bells jingling from their collar, and I don't hear any more growling. Maybe that's a good thing. They better get used to each other, and I figured it was better to have them start having the run of the house now while we were home this week, because next week it's just going to be all of them and Gary. I don't know who to have more sympathy for. I really don't. I really don't. So, so we'll see. So with that tale about Lurch done, is there anything else you guys want to hear about? Or do you want to know about summer camp? Because for those of you who don't know, I am an assistant scoutmaster for Boy Scouts. And summer camp will be interesting in that we're very bottom heavy as a troop this year, which means we mostly have younger kids under the age of 14. And I have a few new parents going who are planning to become assistant scoutmasters, which is fantastic because, troops need them. But I need to let them know one thing right from the very beginning. I will handle a homesick kid. No problem. I will handle kids that have fights with each other. Not a problem. I will help any kid with merit badge stuff. Not a problem. I will handle any kid that shows up with having blood loss, cut themselves, fall, trip, whatever. Blood, no problem. But the minute you get that kid who throws up in the middle of the night because the first day of summer camp, he has scarfed up all the junk food on the first day from the trading post, I'm not doing that. I will never do that. That's your problem. To go to their forever home, I'm just waiting to hear from their forever home. I need to send a text tomorrow to the next door neighbor going, hey, I haven't heard from you, and I'm leaving bright and early Sunday morning. So I'm really hoping that your daughters will pick one of these kittens and take it on Saturday. Because once I know they had been told they were going to get Gimli, and since they're not getting Gimli, hello Maria. Since they're not getting Gimli, I offered them first pick of the 3. And once that happens, then there is one other person lined up. No, they are not all adopted. I definitely know one is going to the neighbor's daughters. Absolutely. And then one of the nurses at my primary physician's office wants one. Hopefully that won't fall through. But that still leaves me with a 3rd kitten. And I don't know which kitten that will be until they start picking. But the first one that's got to pick is the neighbor's daughters need to decide, okay, which one are you taking? Aragorn, Arwen, or Frodo? One of the gray ones or the one black one. So I would have loved, I really, really wanted to have them all adopted before we left for camp, of the ones that were going to be adopted. They are now, we're estimating they're between 12 and 14 weeks old. Now, most places don't let you adopt cats until they're 12 weeks old. So they are old enough to go. We've had a setback with training with Aragorn because he seems to think, and it's my fault, he was in the way in the kitchen. And so I hooked the foot very carefully under him and I slid him across the floor. Crap. He thinks it's a game. So now he likes to get under your feet. He likes to stop on the staircase. Dude, with my bum knee, stopping on the staircase is a bad idea. So we're having a little problem there. It's gonna be hard, but I know that they're gonna go to better places because I'm very picky. There have been 3 people who've just said, "Oh yeah, I want a kitten," and then when they tell me, I'm like, "Yeah, how many pets are in your house? What kind of pets? How well trained are those pets? How many kids you got? Oh, you have 3 kids, all under the age of 6. You're not getting one of my kittens." No, 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 no. Somebody else had just gotten 2 Rottweiler puppies and wanted to take a kitten. I'm not willing. I'm not willing. If you told me you had 2 full-grown Rottweilers that grew up with an older cat in the house and that cat died and you want to get another cat, they already are associated with a cat. So they would probably be okay with a kitten and would be careful with it. But together, I've seen Rottweiler pups. I know how rough they play. I would be afraid to put a little kitten in between 2 Rottweiler puppies that are growing because my one brother used to breed Rottweilers. I would not do that. So those 2 people, while very nice people, they're just, I wasn't willing to put any of these kittens in those situations because I cannot imagine having 3 kids under the age of 6 and then add a puppy or a kitten to that because that's basically another toddler. No. No. I like that neighbor too. She's on the next street over, and I'm like, I'm not doing that to you. Not doing that to you. Not doing it to the kitten either. Not doing that to you. So, look, giving them away is not going to hurt near as much as losing Morgan did because they're going to a home where they're going to be able to get better care. It has been an absolute struggle. My tax bills are not paid now because of the money it has taken to feed them. And, I bless your hearts. The money I've gotten from, I have saved every bit of the buy me a coffees. I've had one of you be very generous and sent me enough that paid for the neuter surgery for 2 of the boys. But any donations that came to me, and I'm blessed that some of you have sent me food or sent toys. That has been a huge help. But they get fed 4 times a day. It's a lot. Because they're still growing, and when they play rough. They are up and down. Now they don't go to the 3rd floor because the doctor, instead of hiding all the way up on the 3rd floor now, hides 4 steps up to the 3rd floor, up the 3rd floor staircase. And she just hisses once and they stop. and they don't run up that staircase. But they do go from first to second floor to first to floor, second. And so they burn a ton of calories. So they are still eating 4 meals a day. And that's, of those little cat cans, the kitten ones, the little ones, I mean, that's 3 of them and a bowl of dry food every meal. Or 1 of them and a big can of cat food every meal. Plus, I've got the doctor who's losing some weight because she's not eating as much. That and cat litter. And what the heck is going on? So, we all know that for a while there, getting canned cat food in the grocery stores had been a nightmare. And so I had to go to PetSmart, which is not as cost efficient. I've had to go to PetSmart for 95% of the kitten food because the grocery stores don't carry it. They do not can. None of the grocery stores in my area carry canned kitten food at all. And you have one that carries one selection of kitten dry food. That's it. So I've had to do this at PetSmart, which is a little more expensive. So I have been grateful. I have been so grateful. And not just you guys have sent food, but friends of mine from Facebook have also occasionally stopped by with food and toys. Sandy had basically become the kitty fairy godmother because, bless her heart, when they were real young and I needed to get, apparently when they're really small, you don't want clumping cat litter because if they ingest it, it can cause dangerous problems of blocking up their system when they're really small, like when I first got them. And bless her heart, she showed up with, antibacterial wipes, different kinds of catnip, different kinds of food, a whole thing for bottle feeding. She showed up with things of formula, which they still want me to give Arwen, Elrond, and Frodo the boys just barely made it over the weight to get their rabies shot. Arwen was underweight. She couldn't get her rabies shot. So the vet did recommend that I still feed those 3 kitten formula. I don't have any left. So I'll have to figure out how to get some of that. But Sandy showed up with that. She showed up with some toys, but she showed up with these massive bags of recycled paper litter, which was a godsend with these guys. Now they're old enough they can be in the clumping litter, which with 5 of them and the doctor and 2 litter boxes, go through a lot of litter. And I can't find it. I'm having a hard time finding cat litter that clumps. And I don't know why. I wouldn't think that would be something we'd run out of, but we'll figure it out. Mike and I are going to hit up Walmart if we have to. There's one out near the REI camping store, which we have to drive all the way out to. So we're going to hit there first and see if they have it. Because I can't pick up, the clumping cat litter comes in the big tubs. I can't pick up the tubs because of my spine. So I'm stuck having to buy a certain kind of clumping cat litter. And it comes in a big thing, but there's 4 individual little bags in there. And I can lift those. So I'm kind of stuck because of my spine on which one I have to get. So that's kind of been an issue. But I'm managing, I'm getting there. I'm going to keep plugging away at it. It won't be too much longer now, hopefully. Mike has also been helping out because, like he said, we're keeping 2 kittens because he really wanted to keep Elrond, except now Gimli has bonded with him, and Elrond follows me usually the minute he knows I'm awake. And Gimli will go find Michael. He knows when Mike comes in every morning, and he will go find Mike at 6:30 in the morning when Mike first gets home. But then when he wakes up in the afternoon, when they have their afternoon nap after lunch, he wakes up and he runs up the stairs. He goes right to Mike's door to see if he can get in to see Mike. Now, Mike barricades his door so that the kittens can't get in, because that's another door where it doesn't actually latch. And so then he'll come back down. But he does this all the time. He checks for Mike. If he hears a noise upstairs, he runs up the step and looks for Mike. So Mike has made sure that he's putting something towards paying for the equivalent of what Gimli's eating, and a little bit for Elrond. So I'm thankful that I have a conscientious kid. I am very thankful for that. I heard growling again, but it stopped again. Oh yeah, non-clumping. Think about it. When I had Morgan in here, that was with the doctor. That's 7 cats. And I have the doctor has one of these big size cat litter boxes, but I only had a little tub that's about that deep for where the kittens and Morgan were. And I can't imagine going through non-clumping. It'd be a mess. I wouldn't be able to lift up the box because you have no choice. When you have non-clumping and you have that clay stuff, you have to dump the entire thing out anytime really that you clean it. And at least with the clumping, you don't have to do that as often. I love clumping stuff. I love it too. I did find out that the one thing you have to watch with the clumping, because I tried using a cheaper one and it didn't work, because when you take the scoop and you shake it a little bit to get the loose, good litter down through the scoop, then sometimes all the stuff would just fall apart. So not all clumping is it should be 2 cat boxes per cat. Right now that we will have to get another full size, but the box the doctor has is actually an extra large cat box. And so that has worked, but it gets cleaned twice a day. I don't know what's going to happen when I'm not here. But Mike does it when he comes home in the morning. And then I clean it again before sometime between after dinner and before I go to bed. So usually when I'm out there for another cup of tea, it's usually about 9 o'clock in the evening, 9 or 10 o'clock. And so sometime within that hour, I'm usually cleaning it out again. So it's getting cleaned twice a day because they're all using it. And the doctor, who can't get out there very often, has found her own workaround because I'm refusing to let her outside. And so far, if Gary has a choice, because she has escaped several times on him, but she wants to go down to the basement. Now there's a crawl space in the basement where there's a foundation. The foundations were sunk, but the room was never dug out, so it's all just dirt in there. And she's going back in there to use that as a litter box. Considering what happened with Morgan, I don't care. Let her use it. It still means she's inside the house and safe. I don't care. Let her use it. She's burying everything. You can't smell anything, so I don't care. Let her crawl back into the hole and use that as a litter box. Let her get down the basement. We have tried having a separate little box, but I only had another little tub upstairs. And of course, that didn't work because the kittens took it over. So I'm hoping that once it's down, where are you going, Arwen? And you just knocked the book. She's not going to come over and say hello. But we did take a trunk full of stuff from the house to Goodwill today. That was part of today's running. Some of it came out of the kitchen. So we are trying to figure out where we could put a second litter box, because I don't want it on my wood floors. I want it to be somewhere where there's space. The powder room's too tiny. It's been hard having just this tiny little tub It's like the size, like the tubs they give you at the hospital that have all the little stuff in it. Um, it's been hard to fit that in there because that room's so tiny. So we're looking at where else in the kitchen. So where the doctor's is over on where the old it's near the tower that the kittens have taken over, doctor's tower. But that's on one side, and there would be a spot. We took care of everything that was in that old broom closet. We took out everything, scrubbed the interior, organized everything. I have enough bug spray up there that I'm never going to need anything from my vegetable garden for bug spray again. There's fertilizers galore. There's at least 10 things to wash your car with. Years of accumulation. I mean, it's all still good, but but now we know what we've got, and it's actually all organized. And we have all the superfluous crap out of there, so I now actually have a place for my broom and my mop again in the broom closet. Imagine that. So we took anything, we threw out a lot of stuff, and we dumped a lot of stuff we sent to Goodwill. So there's space there where we could put another one, and they'd be separate. Yeah, so oh yeah, it's constant attempts. Um, it's constant attempts to go out. Because the doctor didn't see, like, the kittens saw Morgan's body, and but they still try to go out when I go out back to feed their grandmother, to go feed Rory or to feed Shadow. They still want to try to come out. And this morning, Elron, I didn't see him behind me. He did slip out the back door onto the back porch. And as soon as he saw Rory, he was not happy that he was outside. He flattened himself up against the doorstep, and Rory is coming closer and closer, and she's just sniffing the whole time, sniffing. And she stopped. She stopped about 8 inches away from him. She never made a sound. She never got aggressive. And then she just backed up and she sat down and just watched him. But he didn't know what to do. And then he quick scooted around so that he came to the corner of the porch and then got behind my feet and sat down behind me. It was really comical because it was like a little kid, but he just was scared. He had no qualms about shooting right back in the house again. So, he was like, nope, I'm done. I'm done. Mike wants to get, he saw one in a YouTube video, but I don't know anything about them. I don't know how much they are or anything. But he wants to get one of those cat backpacks. I haven't seen it. He said that it's a backpack, but it's like a hard body, and like there's this big dome, like a big bubble is part of the backpack, and there's air holes and stuff for you to carry your cat in the backpack and take it with you. Now, we do want to get Elron and Gimli leash trained, but I can't do that with it until we get the others, and I didn't want to start it until after summer camp. But I'm going to have to look into this. But I told him, well, if you want one, you figure it out and you buy one, and we'll see what we do with it. 2 boxes together, you can have them in the same room, but it's not wise to put, from what I understand from Jackson Galaxy, the great cat guru. If you don't know who he is, look him up on YouTube. He's got fantastic information. Learning stuff from him had helped a lot with what I've done over the years with different feral cats and what I've done with the doctor and dealing with these kittens. But you do want to have no more than 3 cats per. Usually it's 2 to 3 cats per litter box. But you can't have the litter boxes if there is any animosity or hesitancy between the cats. You can't have the litter boxes next to each other. If they all got along super fine, cuddly, good friends, then it's not a problem. But because the doctor keeps hissing at the kittens, there's an issue there. They need to have some space between their litter boxes. Doctor, come here. I heard that hiss. Come here. Come here, girl. Princess. Sweetie. I think she's about her limit. Oh, wait. The guy who cooks, is that June? Jun apostrophe S, June's Kitchen? Because I love that. I love his show. Now he's not done as many videos as Rachel and June, because Rachel's his wife. He's in Japan. He has got he's got the most awesome mountain forest cat, who he can have it ride in the bicycle and take it out places and not have it on a lead. And he's got some awesome. Yes, it's June. I love Rachel and June. Now they haven't posted a huge amount. They have 3 different channels. One is just Rachel and June, and then I think there's Rachel and June Adventures, because one is more about the culture of Japan and special places they went to see, special artisans they interviewed, and then one is just them and their life and getting to know them. They just built a house, which they haven't done a tour yet. Dying to see that. They've got 3 really cool cats. They just rescued a 4th, so I don't know. They got it. He's an outdoor cat. This place they moved, but he showed up with like part of his tail missing or something. So they got him vet care. That was the last video I saw. But they haven't done a tour of this house, and seeing the process of how a house gets built in Japan is so different from here. So different and really kind of cool. But yeah. Okay, the first guy, the cat behaviorist, is Jackson Galaxy. Let me see if I can find his channel. I'll put the link in. There we go. I first saw him doing an interview on somebody on TV. And then he talked about having a YouTube channel. And man, he's been great. He's the cat behaviorist. Oh, come on. My little drawer thing for the keyboard just bit the dust again. It jams every so often. So let's see. No, not Rachel Maxey. She's somebody else, though. Where's June's Kitchen? Here we go. So, hey, what's going on? Doctor, are you okay? You all right? That was a whole different noise. Doctor, you all right? I think somebody got a little too close and just got a smackdown. Oh, now she's making that funny chirping noise. She's on the staircase now, though. That's good. Put some distance between her and the kittens. Um, oh yeah, book. If you've got a cat that's fun and weird and yeah, watch some of Jackson Galaxy's cat stuff. There's so much to learn, and he really does help with behavioral stuff and give you clues. I recognize the fact that I have a serious climber with Elrond, so at some point I'm going to have to look into finding things that he can climb, like putting shelves. They have little step things you can put on a wall, and I need. Mike looked up a couple of things and saved them where they show you how to make your own stuff, but you need like yards and yards of this sisal rope because that's the kind of stuff they put on that they can dig their claws into. That most cat towers, some of the big towers have the poles covered in that. And I don't know where you get, where do you buy 100 yards of sisal rope? I've got the 2x4s, so we could make something. Mike's willing to make something in his room for him to climb up. You would cover the 2x4 and then you'd mount it to the wall, and then you put like shelving that they can walk around, and then you put a little platform, and they like being up high. But I can build all that. I know enough carpentry skills, and I have wood in the basement. I don't have 100 yards of sisal rope. So let me find. Okay, no, that's still June's kitchen. Um, Rachel and June, but where's. Okay, Rachel and June's adventures. Home Depot doesn't have I didn't find anywhere. They have like small amounts of it, like you can get a thing that's about that big, but we have 9-foot ceilings. So I don't it doesn't have enough. They only had like little things. So, oh, Harbor Freight. I hadn't thought of that. Thank you, Kathy. I haven't bought anything from Harbor Freight in a long time. There's one not too far from me, like an actual storefront Harbor Freight. Oh, and a boat parts distributor. Hadn't thought of that either. It's behind me. Oh, it's you just moving. You got to stretch, Gimli. I will check into that. There are boat parts around here because Essington still has a couple of marinas on the Delaware River. So there are a couple of marinas up and down. So there are boat people around here. They got to be getting their stuff from somewhere. But I'll check Harbor Freight. But this is. I'm going to give you. The Rachel and June's Adventures link. They have another channel just called Rachel and June. The stuff on that one is some of the stuff like one of the. Is it Ottawa? One of the big tourist agencies for tours into Japan hired them and a bunch of YouTubers to go to certain places and go to different prefectures and show all some of the sites and things you can see and special places. And a lot of that's on the channel that's just Rachel and June. But Rachel and June's Adventures is more the one that's about their life. They even have a playlist that's mostly cats, and you can see Haku and Pokey, and who's the newest one is Peachy, and you can see I think the outdoor one. The latest one says we kidnapped another cat. That's the outdoor one that just showed up. So this is the Rachel and June adventures. If you like, even if you just want to see their cat stuff, because their cats are adorable and the stuff they do for them is just wild. But that's with that particular one. I do know about the Cat Who series. I have not made it through all of them yet. I own quite a few of them, so some of them are still in boxes and haven't read them all yet. Some of them I've read 2 or 3 times because I really do like that series. The Cat Who books by Lillian Jackson Braun, for anybody that doesn't know, they are mystery books, but literally the ones who help solve some of the mysteries are his 2 Siamese cats named Coco and Yum Yum. Now, anybody who knows their Gilbert and Sullivan knows that Coco and Yum Yum are 2 characters from Gilbert and Sullivan's The Mikado, which is how I first heard about the books, is because they had these cats named after characters from the G&S stuff. What? I saw that. Get off that shelf. Get down. Now. Hey. Why is it always you? Lord, I feel like Minerva McGonagall and Harry Potter. Why is it always you 3? Yeah, you. Why is it always you? Get down. Come on, Aragorn. Come on. Come. Aragorn. Hey. That got your attention. He's on one of the shelves that has stuff on it that I have listed on eBay. And some stuff that's waiting to be listed on eBay, which is glass. I love him, but I can't wait for him to go. I can't wait. I love the kittens. They're all sweet, but I can't wait for him to go. He likes to get onto shelves and then he tries to hide behind the things on the shelves, which of course pushes things off shelves. They have not been in my bedroom. They're not allowed in my bedroom. Only the doctor's allowed in my bedroom. He got in, shut the door and locked it. Didn't know he got in. He got behind some books and all of a sudden she's growling and I don't know why. And then I start seeing books fall off the shelf. Not just any books. My 1800s copies of Little Women and early 1900s copies of... No, you're not touching the Alcott collection, you little monster. Love him dearly, but man, who's under me? Come here. You haven't said hello. Say hi, Arwen. Is your twin brother being a brat? Say yes. Say yes. My twin brother is a brat. He likes to get in the way of people's feet now because he thinks it's funny. Yeah. Oh, there she goes. She doesn't like to be picked up and carried around a lot, but if you're sitting still, she'll come and she'll sleep on your lap, or she'll sleep curled up next to you on the pillow. But yeah, no. I love them all, but I can't wait for him to have a forever home that's not here. Not with this. Not with a house like this. That's why they have collars with bells, so I can always find them. But him and the bit with the shelves, I love him, but I'm so over him. Oh my goodness. So, all right, it is going on 12:30, guys. I am going to call it a night. I hope you had fun hearing the story about Lurch and seeing the kittens that you could get to see. And I am going to have to go though, because like I said, it's going to come up with, oh yeah. When he redoes that barn in the Cat Who stories, It's got cat ramps and an enclosed area just for the cats. He's got a gazebo, and these cats are so well trained. When he says gazebo, they actually will hop into a tote bag. I think it's a tote bag, isn't it? And he carries them out to the gazebo. And I wouldn't mind doing. What are you doing? I wouldn't mind doing that, but I do want to get Gimli and Elrond trained to be able to go outside like that on a lead. But they're adventurous enough. I don't think Arwen could handle it. She's too timid. She sees the birds outside, and that's fine on the bird feeder. Because I still have a little bit of seed left from the last batch Michael bought me. So I only put in like about 2 cups worth in the little feeder each day, because then they keeps them busy and they can watch it out the window. But occasionally one, like a little sparrow, will land on the windowsill, on the brick sill on the outside. She freaks. It just startles her, and she leaves. She bolts away from the window. What are you doing? Oh, come here. Come on. You're purring. Why are you purring? Oh, okay. You can stand on my lap. All right. They'll see your tail. There we go. That makes you happy. So she is kind of timid. Like, when the doctor growls, she leaves. She'll go to a different room or back down the hallway. She won't. When the doctor's in the kitchen, this one is at least 6 to 8 feet away from her. She won't go near her. She hears that growl and she just retreats. She's real quiet about it. She just walks quietly. It's not like she's terrified and running away, but she will just walk away to put some distance between her and the doctor, and then she'll sit down and she'll just stay over there. She doesn't try to challenge the doctor like Aragorn does. He's gonna get smacked down. Gimli is a smart aleck, because the doctor hisses and then he just sits down and stares at her. He doesn't hiss back. Elrond will hiss. Or Elrond, he challenges it by sometimes he'll run to get, if he really wants to get up the stairs, he'll run to get past her, which kind of like upsets the doctor. But Aragorn will hiss back, and then he keeps getting closer and closer. He pounced on her tail, which got him a smack in the head. So yeah. Yeah, her tail is cool, because on her tail you can actually see the rings. Of Arwen's tail, you can see the darker shades of gray on those a little bit on those tails. So you guys have a great weekend. I don't know what the Wi-Fi is going to be like at summer camp, if I get to do a video or anything. Not sure how that will work either, because I won't have the laptop. We don't have any power in the campsite. So, and I won't have the laptop to be trying to edit anything. And editing on this phone just doesn't happen. It doesn't have enough memory. What are you doing? Hey. Don't. She's pulling on the camera cord. No cords. They've all discovered cords to things, like phone cords, PlayStation cord, power cord to plug the phone in to get more power. Oh, you're just going to lay on the shelf because my keyboard is on top of the desk now. Okay. I see those little feet. I'm going to play with the feet. You have beans. This is something that's important to do. Book, you said you have a kitten? Okay. Get them used to having their feet touched. Even if it's just running a finger from the shoulder part and down the leg to their feet. That was something that my vet told me a long time ago when I first rescued the doctor and her siblings, because it makes it easier later whenever they ever have to have an IV in the leg. Then they aren't so panicked when a vet or the nurses in the vet have to shave the leg and put an IV in or put a needle in through there, and they can have their feet touched. So it's important to do that. So, yep, patience with my boys is never the problem. Patience with the parents. We get quite a few new parents. That's usually the challenge. Strength, that's the one I need. I have not walked on uneven ground very much. That has me a little concerned. Um, so we'll see how that works out. I am going to be smart. I am taking my cane with me. So fingers crossed, pray for me. Everything stays safe and healthy for me at camp. Last year, this year should, good Lord willing, should be better than last year because this year I don't need an epidural shot in my spine to be able to go. And I really, really, really need the peace that being in the woods for a week will give me. And pray there's no bears because we've already been forewarned the camp apparently is having a problem with bears coming into the campsite. Nothing like seeing a Pennsylvania black bear. There was one last year, but it wasn't in our campsite. I don't want to deal with a bear. 5 kittens is enough. I do not want to have to deal with a bear. Just don't. So, I do have a walker. That's back up in the attic. I have a cane, and I am taking the cane with me just in case. So, just to be on the safe side. So, I am going to go get chamomile and vanilla tea and have that and head to bed because 12:30. By the time I actually fall asleep, it'll probably be closer to 1:30, and I got to set that alarm for 8 and the secondary alarm for 8:30 so that I can go water the vegetable garden. Take the walker. Not planning on it. The walker entirely depends on how much we can fit in the trunk of the car when we pack it. We'll see. It might not all fit, but we'll see. So I should be. My biggest worry is the dang bears. I really don't want to deal with that. Because if you've all seen that guy on TikTok that says, what is it, WW? Anyway, the initials come out to white women ain't scared of SHI. And he shows some people who just do stuff and they all crazy white women. I am not. If a moose comes onto my property, I am not going out in the yard and hollering at it like it's the neighbor's dog. Moose are huge. I'd rather face the damn bear. I would rather face a Pennsylvania black bear because for the most part, they're timid. You make a lot of noise. Ow! Hey, that's claws. Murder mittens. Just try to jump up my thigh. What are you doing to me? I would rather face a Pennsylvania black bear than to have to face a moose because mooses are huge and scary looking. So we have to, that's one of the reasons we have to go to REI. We need to get a bear canister. Our troop doesn't have one. It's a special canister, and then it has a locking lid, and then you tie a rope to it. You literally, you hang it in the tree. You need bear bags. You need to be able to hang stuff in a tree. So, of course, too, they say they're having problems with bears in the campsite. But you know what this camp does? One night out of the week, they will give you the food, and you are expected to cook. Your troop is expected to cook for your troop in your campsite. Well, that's all well and good, but we've got 30 plus people going. That's a lot. We're going to be the biggest group there. That's a lot to be cooking on our own in a campsite. That's a lot of food that's going to be smelling up the woods right before bed in a campsite. Now, we never, ever let the trash stay in the campsite overnight. We have taught that for years. When before lights out, there's a duty roster, and one of the last things that has to get done at the end of the day, all trash has to be removed from the campsite before everybody goes to bed. And they do it too. And after last year finding out that in broad daylight there was a bear in the campsite down the hill from us, I never had another lick of trouble with anybody about taking that trash out at the end of the night. They did not want a bear in camp. So, so hopefully, I may take my big hiking stick because the thing's as tall as I am, and it's got some spikes at the top in case I need it. Besides, I would like to do some carving on it. I've never finished wood carving that thing. So have a good night, everybody. Thank you for the thumbs up. And I will, if the Wi-Fi is good, I will try to post something. I doubt I will be able to go live next week because often they turn the Wi-Fi off. Lights out is at 10 o'clock, and usually the only Wi-Fi is at the dining hall. And a lot of times they turn the Wi-Fi off at 10 o'clock. So I would not necessarily be able to go live next week. But I will definitely see you guys the next week when I'm back. Have a good night, everybody. You guys all awake now? Is it time for your snack before I go to bed? You don't usually get fed this late, but I could put some dry stuff down. They're so spoiled. Good night, everybody.